The show is titled Tatanka, Back from the Brink, and it's a exhibition of photographs of the American buffalo or bison that I've been photographing in the plains in the central states of the United States for the last 7 or 8 years now. So usually I pick the shots because when I'm out photographing wildlife like this, we usually am just, kind of taking several, sometimes hundreds of shots. And so going through them and trying to decide which one, I'd like to choose to include in an exhibit like this is a lot of times due to what I'm trying to show. Am I trying to show a specific characteristic of the animals? What are they doing? How are they behaving? Are they interacting with each other? Are they moving through the landscape? Is the lighting a certain way that just kind of really shows off something about the animal? And then usually I'll pick something like that. If they're, engaging with me sometimes, or engaging with another behavioral kind of aspect of what So a kind of a typical day is usually up before sunrise. And so I'm getting to where I want to be at least 30 minutes or so before sunrise, trying to find, because you never know, a lot of times I'll leave the animals in a location the night before, so typically I'll go back to the same spot, but of course there's no guarantee they'll be there. So sometimes you have to do a little bit of hunting around to try and find them again. So usually I'll, kind of find a herd of them and just kind of watch them for a little bit and see what they're doing, because even, by the time the sun comes up and starts to get enough light where you can actually photograph them, I usually have about 30 to 45 minutes just kind of hanging out, watching them, seeing what they're doing, if they look like they're getting ready to move, any of that kind of stuff. And then I'll go find a spot. Typically, if they look like they're moving in a certain direction, or if they kind of habitually will move in a certain direction, I'll go and position myself so that they can come to me. I don't ever chase the animals around. I don't follow them around. I keep my distance, and I'll set up and I'll wait for them to move towards me. This way they can choose how comfortable they are. If they're sometimes they get a little bit too comfortable, and so you have to move out of their way. So it's usually letting them decide what they want to do, and then I'll set up, I'll wait for them to come to me, and sometimes they cooperate and most times they don't. So it's really a lot of serendipity mixed in with a lot of planning, because you can spend an entire day and shoot, all day and really not get anything that's kind of satisfactory. So it's, this really, the 17 or 18 prints I have here really represent over, several thousand that I've taken over the last seven years. I love to photograph bison, and what really draws me to them is they're just magnificent. I don't know how else to put it. They're huge. I mean, a fully grown male will weigh about 2,000 pounds, and they're 6.5 feet tall at the shoulder, and they can run 35 miles an hour. I mean, so they're just impressive animals. But yet there's something about them that just, the way they are so calm until they're not. They're just, I don't know, they're just amazing. And then they also have this kind of, I don't know what it is, when you're out there with them and you're kind of, there's no separation between you and them. So you're out in their habitat. And there's just this kind of mutual acknowledgement of each other's presence. They know you're there, and they just choose to be okay with it. And I don't know, that kind of just connects with me in a way, And so, but also they just are so strong. They have just persevered and survived for, centuries. And then in the last couple hundred years, right, they've had a rough go of it. And I think that strength and perseverance is just part of the story that just really appeals to me. Because I also think in a broader sense, it's a story about us as well. And that just really connects with me. I think they're kind of like a mirror almost, in a way that they reflect us back to ourselves. And we see the good, the bad, and the ugly. We've had some good, a lot of bad, and a lot of ugly, but we can learn from it. And I think that's what really appeals to me about the story. So I'm doing a presentation on Saturday. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of the bison, mostly in the last 200 to 250 years, really starting around the middle of the 17th century, when they, really occupied most of what is now the United States. And how they've, gradually, their habitat, due to habitat loss and to, a lot of other reasons, they, over the next 150 years, were just really on the brink of extinction. In the last 100 years or so, through a lot of effort of a few people, they've kind of been rescued from extinction, but yet there's still a lot of work to be done to provide the habitat that they need to continue to grow and flourish. And I think, again, that comes back to, too, it's good for, not only good for them, right? We all need a good environment and good, healthy, clean air and clean water and things like that. And so, I think, again, it's like what's good for them is good for us. The closest call I ever had, I've never been charged, thank goodness. I kind of got stuck between two bulls. And I couldn't, one had wandered up so close, by the time I could get back around, I couldn't get back around to open my car door because, he was 15 feet away by that time. And then there happened to be another big bull coming right at me from the other side. And I had to crawl in through the car window just to, that was probably the closest encounter that I've had. They don't see very well, so I was really leery about opening a car door that was going to all of a sudden, you don't want to risk spooking them. So you can see more of my work. I have a website. It's www.tomcrocephoto.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, similar, kind of the same names. If you just look me up by my name, you can find more about me and more about my work and more about the bison. I actually have a nature photography blog on my website, so there's some information on not only the bison but other wildlife and other places. So I think what's next for me is I'm going to continue working in the plains. Right now it's just such a massive, huge area. I think I probably will spend the rest of my life working there. But some of the projects I'm still looking at is to kind of get a little more focused in certain areas in the plains. So some of the grasslands, looking at some of the other wildlife that exist in the plains. And I really, I'm really interested in that whole prairie ecosystem and all of the animals that kind of have to coexist in order for that to stay a healthy, functioning ecosystem.